Member for Dobell.
And thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I congratulate and thank the member for Bass for raising this most important issue today in Parliament. The most important priority for any government is to protect and keep our nation safe and secure. And as the Prime Minister has said, when it comes to national security, there can be no shortcuts. Currently, we are experiencing testing times, and this government is committed to ensuring the safety of our law-abiding citizens. And we can't underestimate the threat of terrorism present in modern-day Australia. Since the Bali bombings in 2002, which claimed the lives of 88 innocent Australians, we've been alert to the dangers of those who seek to destroy our freedom and way of life. In recent times, we've seen Australian lives lost in Sydney as a result of radical religious extremism. And we're also aware of a number of Australians in Syria and Iraq fighting alongside the Daesh death cult. And this indicates the scope of the problem and the need to fight terrorism both at home and abroad. Specifically, the government must work diligently to do all within its power to halt terrorism at its source. Australian counter-terrorism agencies must be able to share information in a secure manner with traditional allies and regional partners to prevent potential terrorist attacks. And this is why I've been a strong supporter of this government's actions to ensure that our law enforcement and crime agencies are well equipped to respond to the ongoing evolution of terrorism threats. I'm also committed to ensuring that those Australians who commit criminal acts in the name of a foreign death cult are dealt with appropriately. Now, we are aware of 30 Australians who travelled to Afghanistan and Pakistan between 1990 and 2010 to train at extremist camps, and some fighting with extremists. 25 of these individuals returned to Australia, with 19 continuing to engage in activities of security concern following their return, and 8 were subsequently convicted of terrorism-related offences, with 5 still serving prison sentences. The number of Australians with hands-on terrorist experiences in Syria and Iraq is now several times what it was in Afghanistan, and the challenges are much greater. The government has already strengthened Australia's national security laws and provided law enforcement agencies with increased powers to address the threat from foreign fighters, including the ability to arrest or place control orders on those who return. In addition to these measures, I will be supporting the government's measures to remove Australian citizenship status from dual citizens who are proven to be involved in acts of terrorism against our great nation. These are indeed harsh measures, but they are entirely fitting of the crime. And let's not for 1 minute forget that these extremists are fighting against the brave men and women of the Australian Defence Force. ADF men and women who are placing their lives on the line to protect Australia's values and freedoms. Recently foiled terrorist plots on Australian soil demonstrate the need to maintain and support both the Australian Defence Force and other government agencies at the very forefront of counter-terrorism actions. While the urgency to address the national security threat has intensified over the past 12 months, this government has been committed to enhancing the safety of Australians since our election. In the lead-up to the 2013 federal election, one of the biggest issues I encountered in my electorate was residents' concern for the need for Australia to secure its borders. And this government has successfully stopped the boats and in turn has not only prevented the loss of life at sea, but has delivered budget savings that can now be redirected to enhancing our security. And last week, the Prime Minister stated, "We need to bring the same drive, focus and clarity of purpose to countering terrorism that resulted in stopping the boats under Operation Sovereign Borders." This is why the 2015 budget included $1.2 billion in new funding for national security, building upon the $1 billion announced last year. In total, the government is spending over $35 billion on defence, national security and law enforcement, and this includes investing in our own security, including protecting our borders from terrorism and crime, preventing Australians from joining or supporting terrorist organisations, and improving collaboration with our community and within our region to address the uncertainties we face, including terrorism. There is no single measure to address the terrorism threat. The government has identified a suite of measures that together will best equip us in this fight both at home and abroad. We must not waver from our obligation to Australia and its people, and I commend the government for the measures introduced and will work closely with my colleagues to ensure that we continue to equip our agencies with the necessary powers to combat terrorism threats. Madam Deputy Speaker, I commend this motion to Parliament.
I